Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel. What am I doing up on a ladder? Well, let's take a look. I have a Coleman Mach 8 low profile AC and I'm going to install a MicroAir Easy Start on it. So I've already started the process. There's two different versions of this style unit. There's an early version and then there's a later version. The early version has the capacitors installed somewhere in this area. Later version has the capacitor installed out here, which of course has all these wires and they go into that little J box. So I need to remove some stuff from that J box. First thing we need to do is remove the PTCR device, which is this right here. So that should just pull right off of the circuit board, and then the red wire plugs in right where that guy's plugged in. So I'll go ahead and do that first, and then I'll come back to it after I get that done. And I was correct, it just unplugs from the circuit board. So this is the portion that was plugged into the circuit board. Wires were plugged in right here. Pulled the wire off, pulled this off the board, and then took the wire that was plugged in here and plugged it into where that guy was plugged into. So we are ready to move to the next step now. Before I get too busy routing the wires and everything, I'm going to figure out where to mount the box at. So we have to remove the fan from the unit to get access to this electrical box, which is what I've done here. Otherwise you cannot get the cover off. Plus you need free space access to the bottom of the unit so that you can install the MicroAir Easy Start onto the base pan. So the fan just is held in place in 3 different locations with some nuts that are attached to some little studs right there. There's a couple of different locations that work for mounting the box. One is right down here, or another is over here. So I just kind of laid it down there and put the fan back in place to kind of get an idea of how I will position it and where I will route the wires. And one thing else to be careful of is when you're working inside here, watch out for all these sharp edges. These, that, lots of sharp edges across the top of the fins, and all of this metal. This wire, the white wire, this comes from the compressor and it connects right here to that terminal. Kind of hard to see it. I had to move some of these wires around to even get it unplugged right there. That's a great big terminal block that is common to about 5 different wires. So we pull that off. After we've got that white wire pulled off, then we connect it to the brown wire from the MicroAir Easy Start. And then the white wire from the Easy Start, we actually plug that in to where we pulled this white wire off of, which is a terminal that I mentioned earlier, right down in here, totally buried. So we're going to tuck this wire underneath and connect it. Okay, that is connected. And my particular unit has a start capacitor. It's right here. That's identified by these 2 wires. So what we need to do is follow these back into the junction box and make sure that we're working with the correct wires, and then we disconnect those and tie them out of the way. So my yellow wire comes in through here. I've double and triple checked it, and it actually connects to the same terminal block that my white wire connected to. So we'll go ahead and unplug that. And my red wire comes through the same strain relief. It's kind of tricky to track the red. Make sure you get the correct one because there's several red wires. Well, that goes over here and connects to the same terminal strip where the PTCR device is that I removed earlier. So we're going to unplug that as well. And these are really tight. Next up, my wiring doesn't quite follow what the instructions say, but the instructions say to install a piggyback connector on this orange wire. Well, this already has a connector on it. What it then says to do is pull the red wire from the compressor off of the connector on the circuit board. Well, the red wire here is plugged into a piggyback connector, and then it says to take the orange wire, plug it into the circuit board where you remove the red wire from, and then plug the red wire into the piggyback connector that you installed on the orange wire. Well, that essentially means all 3 of these wires connect together. So what we're going to do here is just plug this orange wire right into that free space on that terminal block here. And then our black wire, we connect it to the same terminal block where our purple wire is connected. And that terminal strip is also actually labeled purple right there on it. One other note is before you attach the device to the bottom of the base pan, you want to make sure that your fan clears it, because this is very specific about where it can go in relation to the little legs here, the support arms on the bottom of the fan assembly. So the diagram shows it going this direction, but it actually won't fit because the box is too tall and it interferes with those little horizontal arms on the bottom of the fan. So I had the fan in here and I moved this around until it fit right. So next thing I'm going to do is kind of twist this box around so that my wire isn't all twisted up, and then I will drop the fan in place and then come back here and look at this and then line it up and then make some lines, basically draw an outline of where the box is and get it so that it doesn't interfere with the fan unit. And then we'll take the fan out and then I will stick this to the base pan. Before I put the lid on the box, I took a wire tie and tied up some of these wires that I didn't want moving around and rubbing on things like that stud down there and whatnot. And I've got my MicroAir Easy Start mounted in place, and I'll show you this. I opted to mount it at a little bit of an angle so that this bottom wire had a nice curved bend radius as it went around the foot of the fan, where it will also be protected along the foot by some of its insulation. And then what I'll do is actually zip tie that to the foot, and then I'll zip tie it here. Once you have everything reinstalled, then go ahead and use some wire ties to secure your wire. So I've tied it right here. I didn't tie it on this foot here for the fan. I tied it right there, and then I installed a little tie wrap holder right here and secured it. And then I also installed another one down there that kind of wraps around the support leg for the interior blower housing. And then we'll go ahead and reinstall the cover, and then we'll call this project a wrap.